We're outside Nashville, Tennessee with the all-new Hyundai Santa Fe. This is a 2.5-liter turbo. We're gonna get into not only the exterior, interior, but we're gonna share our driving impressions with this all-new 3-row family crossover. Let's get into it. First, let's pop the hood here. We have the 2.5-liter turbo. Now, Hyundai does say that in just a couple months, there it is, every hood latch is in different spots. In just a couple months, the hybrid will be rolling out. A little April to May is when sales start, but sales started with this turbo model at the beginning of January, somewhere around there. 277 horsepower, 311 pound-feet of torque, made it exclusively to an 8-speed dual clutch. You can get in front-wheel drive, you can get in all-wheel drive. All-wheel drive is about an $1,800 upcharge if I remember right. I cannot wait to share how smooth and impressive this powertrain is when we start driving it in a little bit. But what about that hybrid? Well, up to 36 miles per gallon on that hybrid, 1.6-liter turbo, 6-speed automatic, around 230 horsepower, around 270 pound-feet of torque. Can't wait to test that out. Unfortunately, I don't have one here to drive, so stay tuned for those hybrid driving impressions. Let's get straight into this exterior. What's this color again?
Earthy brass matte, I believe.
Earthy brass matte. It is definitely a cool color. It feels super smooth to the touch. And if you're wondering who that sexy voice was behind the camera, it's Matt Moran from Matt Moran Motoring. He is our videographer today. He also will share his impressions when we start driving together. So thanks, Matt, for joining along. And let's talk about this new H-style everything on this vehicle. We see these H-style daytime running lights with the high beam and low beam kind of nestled inside of there. We have these active air shutters. Typically we see that on very fuel efficient cars or even electric vehicles to improve their coefficient of drag, but Hyundai actually does it here on this big boxy family crossover. But the H-ness keeps going because I mentioned it here, but check out, there's a big H that goes across right underneath these flaps. This one has a 360 camera being the calligraphy. This is the top of the line edition. It tops off around, is it around $50,000? I'm trying to remember.
Just under, yeah.
Just under? Yeah. I think it looks striking, not only from the front, but things start getting radical real quick. I mean, the old Santa Fe that this is replacing is soft, swoopy a little bit, flowing lines. Everything here is hard edged and boxy. More space than ever before, longer roofline than ever before, but noticeably, look how short this overhang is. It's about 30, I think they said 30 millimeters shorter than the outgoing model. And so it really accentuates that boxy, more upright nature to this. This calligraphy has massive 21-inch wheels. You can get the hybrid and calligraphy too, but those come with more fuel efficient 20-inch wheels. There's an XRT model that has 18-inch wheels and thicker tires. We're actually doing some off-roading today, so stay tuned for those off-roading driving impressions. But glossy black wheel surrounds here. And then this would be nice for be glossy black. It's kind of a matte black, but it does really flow with a bronzy color. You've told brass, earthy brass. 360 camera again. Mirrors have that nice paint match. So many times you see maybe a cheaper black finish on the mirrors, but it's nice that we get the actual paint match. Now, A-pillars are nice and glossy to match the wheel surrounds. And notice those wheel surrounds, typically on most cars, it's just this, but they give this huge octagonal stop sign. It's like half of a stop sign looking wheel arch, and it takes up the whole front fender, the whole front bumper. It is super striking. As we come to the side, the whole side profile of the vehicle is really interesting. You kind of have it goes from large to skinnier as it goes back. SEL model comes with these roof rails that really add to the height of the vehicle to make it even seem more adventurous, more boxy. Of course, you can tie things to that as well. Now, this is supposed to be, well, it is, but it's locked right now. You can unlock it by sticking in a little key here. There's a little hole. I don't know if Matt can show you guys that. I don't have the key to unlock this, but you can put your hand in here and climb up on the vehicle. But if you have the roof rail, you can easily get up here by just standing on the tire the old-fashioned way. But, you know, getting your access to your tent or your goods up top, they just wanted to make it a little bit more easy to do that. They've made this back window much more larger, much more square to finish off that look. And a little bit of finishing here with glossy black that matches the bottom accents of the vehicle. And so we come around to the back, this is where the conversation just continues. Everyone has an opinion about this big fat rear end. Now Hyundai wants it to be more functional than ever. Not only is everything kind of just smashed against the vehicle to make it more aerodynamic, but they've widened the hatch here about almost 6 inches, so you can fit really wide things back here. And they said when they designed this vehicle, they actually started designing from the back forward because they wanted, when they were designing this during COVID times, they wanted this vehicle to be that escape vehicle, that vehicle that will take you to the outdoors, give you freedom. And this is just an incredibly wide, you could sit back here. Now, as you can see, I might be too tall, but luckily where the third row sits, I can actually have a little dome here with this third row folded down. And you have access to USB-Cs back here. You have those vents as well. These seats will fold flat too. I wonder if we can demonstrate that from here. Well, that's pretty cool. Not completely flat, but it kind of did a little magic trick for us. And then I also have this ability to is it this one? Here we go. That might fold down the seat flat for you guys to see, which is really, really nice. This feature, I'm sure, is only on the upper trims. You can see how flat this goes all the way. Now the calligraphy comes with these captain's chairs. If you need to have captain's chairs, you can only get in this calligraphy. And then if you come in with the camera, you can see, hey, if you're camping out back here, you have a traditional household plug, 115 volt, 150 watts. I wouldn't be surprised if the hybrid gives you up to maybe 450 or maybe 10 times more power. It's yet to be seen. But another USB-C back here. And look, I didn't even know we had rear AC control, fan control to help cool you off while you're sleeping back here, while you're camping out. Pretty outstanding function. I've actually never seen this in the third row in any vehicle before.
I don't think I have either, yeah.
Typically this is on a minivan, maybe it's up here or somewhere in that area, but that's a really nice little Easter egg there for us. And look, cup holders back here, even with the seats folded down. So let's slide out, let's click this down. And here's a little Easter egg as well. We mentioned the H-ness of this vehicle. It's even up here on the liftgate. And I'm 6'1". You could probably be 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", and not hit your head on this. This is a tailgating machine, a camping adventure machine. As we see families go out on the trail over there, Matt, like, we're in the right place for this. It's an amazing vehicle to take your family to the park, to get off the beaten path a little bit. And with the all-wheel drive here, you're not gonna have to worry too much. There again, that H pattern on those really low tail lights. You know, when I think of it, it's kind of like its pants are sagging a little bit. It's got that low belt line. One of the other things about the back end I forgot to mention, where is that wiper blade? It's completely missing. A la like the Lexus RX 350. This is a very premium thing that they tuck up that windshield wiper into the spoiler. Typically you only see that on high-end luxury cars, and it makes for the back end super futuristic. It enhances that boxy look to it and takes it to the next level. Nice job, Hyundai. Let's go ahead and get into the backseat and talk about the functionality of that third row and how easy is it to fold up. Pretty easy, just a pull of a tab and it goes right back up. But since I folded this seat forward, I'm gonna get back here. Not that hard to do for an adult. And I think I pulled this up here. Pretty easy to do. They fold nice and flat, like I mentioned, and come up pretty easily. Now these could probably also recline as well. It's a great feature to have. And look at that headroom. So while sitting in the tailgate area, it was a little bit limited, but now sitting in the seat, I have actually plenty of headroom here at 6'1". That vent blowing straight on me from here, and also a speaker here as well. And they didn't cheap out. You know, the headliner is really posh all the way back here on the C pillar, and then it goes to plastic on the D pillar, but very impressed overall. And I even have a little map light all the way back here. And you have them up there underneath the handles too for the second row passengers. So let's get into the second row. And this calligraphy, check this out. Big, really long window here, kind of squat, but it looks pretty nice here, even though the visibility from a verticality aspect isn't there, because I mentioned as you go back on the car, the smaller the windows get. It makes the vehicle look like it's leaning back a little bit, like it's going kind of fast. Yeah, I like the sunshades here, faux wood, nice materials. It's a little bit hard touch here, but it's accented with nice materials and stitching all the way around. Heated outboard seats here, it's kind of nice. Bose sound system, 12 speakers. You got that Santa Fe skid plate or door sill there as well. And this is something that Matt and I are just like, what in the world? We have electric seats. Let's see if I can, there we go. It's kind of doing its own thing now. We have electric seats, power seats. There we go, there we go. So it won't allow you to move the seat forward and back, but you can tilt the seat with the bottom cushion, and you can also tilt the vertical cushion as well. There's a lever over here. There we go. Check out that legroom. I was gonna say that would have been a big miss to give me all this stuff, but yeah, they left this kind of spring loaded, which makes sense for getting in and out of the back seat instead of having it motorized there. Yeah, that is spring loaded. The second I lift up this bar, I got coming forward. So again, that H pattern here on the back of the seat, hard touch plastic, which is good for ruggedness, but soft touch up here for a little bit of that luxury at the same time. Now, we have two different storage points down here as I slowly move Matt's bag. One down here, it's felt lined. They even give that small attention to detail so things aren't rattling around in there. And this gives us access to this joint storage facility here that you can pass things from the front passengers, because it'll lift this way from up there. I love the USB-C integration as well. And look how they even put the little hooks on here so you can have bags hanging, or I don't know, what else, backpacks? What else would you put here, Matt?
I think that's about
Hats?
it.
Maybe a hat?
Maybe.
Something like that. Headroom, great. And then look how big this roof is. It's a second sunroof in here because there's one for the front passengers, but this one starts for, these passengers. Am I back all the way? Yeah, I'm back all the way. I can see a little bit, but I feel like it's probably really for that third passenger or the third row passengers with this big roof. Or if you're camping at night, or you can look up at the stars while you have your bed laid out here. All right, getting on the inside here of the Santa Fe, memory seats for the driver, and two different settings here. Very similar materials we saw on that back door, but much more vertical of a window in comparison compared to this passenger side. This is the first Hyundai actually to have a fingerprint scanner. From the sounds of it, you'll be able to drive this car without a key and just your fingerprint, which I don't know, Matt, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I haven't tested it enough to know if it's reliable enough to like actually count on, but there's lots of things with even the phone as key you can do, and so there's other options, I guess, as backups as well if you don't want to use a key, but I've never hated a key to the point of wanting to try all these other things.
Well, here's the old school key, and it still has a smart pack feature that you can move the vehicle forward and back while you're outside of the vehicle. So it's kind of like this pebble stone. This maybe came into play with the Ioniq vehicles. You see it on pretty much all the new Hyundai vehicles, this key fob. With that being said, we're pretty much going to go over all the functionality on our drive, but I wanted to focus on two features before we start driving here. This secret compartment is rubber mat, and it is a UV desanitation box, or did I say that right?
I think so. UVC is what it says.
So ultraviolet, I don't know what C is, but I know it's an ultraviolet wave that you want to close it while you're doing it, and then it'll zap your phone with ultraviolet waves or whatever you have in there. It can be keys, it can be I don't know, things like that. Maybe if you're sharing handkerchiefs, that sort of thing. Yeah, so that's a cool little sanitation box. And guess what? When I had it on, I popped this button. It immediately turns off so you're not blasted with ultraviolet rays. That's a nice feature. Nice wood materials. And check out this other secret box. It's also rubber matted here so things aren't flying in and out in there. It's not making noise. And then you have this really high quality little latch there that you have a fold down traditional glove box. 0 to 60 on the 2.5 turbo Santa Fe. Okay, it is torque braking. It just took it a bit. 2,000 RPM, and then it's dropping back down. No, it will not.
We'll let you do it.
It's not gonna let us launch hard, I don't think. There's 60.
All right, so said 6.8 for 0 to 60.
6.8.
Yeah.
I was expecting like around 7.5.
Yeah.
And that was like the worst launch ever.
Yeah.
It just kind of rolled off.
Yeah, it was very gentle on the transmission there.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, it feels strong.
6.8. You know, I think it might even do better if you just smash the gas from the stop.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Matt and I are driving the all-new Santa Fe here. It doesn't feel anything like the Santa Fe. Like, there's been a few cars from generation to generation that just don't feel like the old model that it's replacing. The new Prius is kind of one of those too. It's just a totally different car.
Yeah. And
the new Santa Fe, like, I feel like we're in maybe 2-3 generations removed from the one that's being replaced. Like, we had all those push buttons up front. Like, it was just really busy up here. Now they kind of cleaned it up. It's much more minimal, more attractive to the eye. The drive select is now this knob that we first saw maybe in the Ioniq models. Yeah. And I love it. I love it. It reminds me kind of the old column shifters.
I know. I love it too.
Yeah. So the materials in this calligraphy, of course, they better be impressive for, you know, the top of the line. And it is, I would say, luxury quality here. I mean, the stitching on the dash, the soft touch materials and everything, like, it is fantastic, especially if you like big boxy vehicles. And that, you know, the H theme that we saw on the outside really flows into everything in here. Like, we see the bisecting trims here. We see the overall arc with, you know, the LEDs at night and just kind of like this silver trim.
Yeah.
So it's very, very pleasant and cohesive design on the exterior as well as the interior. So Matt, passenger seat comfort, what's that like for you over there?
It feels great. It's a nice high seating position. The door panels come up kind of high, so it really feels like it's a trucky kind of vibe almost with, you know, the boxy design. And seat comfort's good, just no lumbar adjustment, even on this top version, not even manual or anything. It's just one size fits all, apparently.
Right. Well, it's interesting they decided to put some motorized controls in the captain's chairs in the second row, but no lumbar for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially top trim, you know, usually that's something a lot of vehicles offer, but.
Right.
Yeah.
But with this boxy interior, I mean, I feel like visibility is better than ever. You mentioned how skinny and thin the A-pillars are. And by the way, this headliner is really nice in here.
Yeah.
Super smooth. I would say almost Genesis quality. You'd fool me if you told me if this is Genesis headliner. I would say great.
Yeah.
Typically in these reviews, we don't have an opportunity to test the Bose sound system, but I think that starts on the limited grade. Do you remember how many speakers it is?
12.
12? Okay,
yeah.
12 is the reoccurring theme here, right? 12-inch screens.
Yeah.
Steering wheel feels fantastic. The stitching in here is quite impressive as well. The steering in here, what does it feel like? Well, feels pretty light, to be honest. Feels pretty accurate. I haven't taken it around too many turns yet. There's no one behind me. Oh, that bird almost got smoked by that Altima in front of us. I'm gonna get into the brakes a little bit. You kind of have to bury your foot into it, but it is, I would say, pretty linear. And what is that response from the stop? That was about the same as it was with torque braking, actually.
Yeah, but it's good. It's that responsive.
Gosh, it is, and that's something, you know, we've talked about when we were driving the Kona together on the media event. The Kona turbo is just kind of, it doesn't really want to get up and go unless like you're 90%, 100% down with the gas pedal. Here, it does exactly what you want. You get that torque response, 50% of the pedal, I'm getting 50% of the throttle. Like it's a one-to-one reaction from the vehicle and the engine compared to what you're putting into the pedal, and that's what you want for responsiveness and safety too.
Yeah.
Speaking of safety, we do have the new lane keep assist systems. I think you do a pretty good job of reviewing them, as well as you remember the name. So what does Hyundai call their lane system here?
I think it's just a lane keep assist. Yeah, I don't.
Okay, it says lane keep assist.
I think so.
It hasn't been doing the greatest with all these shadows. It's pretty early morning here still, what, 10 o'clock? Not that early, but it's winter time, so the shadows are quite drastic. And when we were going around a turn, if there are no shadows, as we'll see up here in a little bit, it does a pretty good job assisting you through the turn. But if there are shadows, your mileage is definitely going to vary there. Okay, it just kicked in here. And on the head-up display, which is, I think, is that only in the calligraphy, right?
I believe so, yeah.
You'll have a little green steering wheel to let you know if the lane keep system is activated. Right now it just turned off. So back to full manual mode here. And it feels really light in the turns. Feels pretty responsive too. It probably due to the 21-inch wheels. So if you like that better handling experience, I think the calligraphy will be, and probably the Limited will be some of the better handling models. However, because the wheels are big, one of the first things I notice, if there are imperfections in the road, you're going to feel it and hear it. So conversely, when we were up at speed, I wasn't getting any wind noise. The only noise that was coming was in from the road. So that's good for your highway trips. You're not going to get that annoying wind buffeting, at least in my experience so far. What do we got going here? Oh, nope. Using that brake test. Yeah, brakes are pretty solid here. This is the new Hyundai software. Obviously, this is your Apple CarPlay. Yeah, this 2.5 liter engine's super perky. Comfort for me on the driver end, I do feel like this is pretty high up, the center armrest here, and you're not even using it. It might be even high.
It's not comfortable. I mean, I don't have my seat probably up as high as it'll go, so let me see if I crank this seat up.
But honestly, like, I get used to it pretty quickly. Dual wireless chargers, that's definitely a new trend. Do you think you would ever use dual wireless chargers in your daily basis?
I mean, I don't really, it's one of those things, like, I usually have a new enough smartphone, and I'm not a heavy enough user to ever really need to charge throughout the day, typically, so not a big deal for me. But it is nice with the USB-C jacks. Now they say that one of them is like a high-powered one that it'll charge super fast, so that'll be super nice. Yeah, and we have this combo USB-C here that we're using for Apple CarPlay, but if you want to charge your phone faster, you just press that switch, and it goes to high wattage charging. And you don't even need the plug now because it's finally a wireless CarPlay and wireless Android Auto in these too, which is great. And there's indicators here for the wireless chargers to probably let you know how full your phone is, I'm guessing. Yeah, I guess that's what that is. I'm not sure why there's 3 indicators. I haven't seen that before. Yeah, that's definitely new. So definitely next-gen wireless charging technology in here. And the mats are rubberized, so your phone isn't going to be sliding around. Yeah. Now, Hyundai's stuck to semi-traditional climate controls. You're not, the old Santa Fe, it was kind of felt like a rocket ship because everything was a button, like hundreds of buttons in here, and they've really smoothed it out. It's easy to get to the ventilated seats here, and luckily there's some auditory feedback, so you actually press the button. I'm gonna try the ventilated seat here to see how it works. Heated steering wheel, I'll let you know. There's 2 different settings for that heated steering wheel. And I was just in, I think the Ioniq 6 recently, and I had to go through the menus to activate the heated seats and the ventilated seats, the heated steering wheel. Take it right here. That's why I have a co-pilot. It felt pretty firm in the turns. We didn't get a lot of body roll, seemingly. Yeah, it seems to be really stable with the whole ride in general. Yeah, which, when you look at it, you wouldn't necessarily think so. You think big boxy vehicle, top heavy, but it's not body on frame, it's unibody, so it's kind of like a deceiving sort of thing. And these ventilated seats are actually too strong for me right now, and it's working through my jeans and working through my jacket. So honestly, that has to be one of the more impressive ventilated seats I've tested in a long time. Honestly, Hyundai Group in general does really good ventilated seats on all their models, in my opinion. They're so good. That was really impressive because I was just in a Grand Highlander recently, and it was okay. But I can still feel them cooling me down, and it's been off for a few seconds. There we go. The heated steering wheel so far, it seems to uniformly heat, but it doesn't seem that hot, but it could take some time for it to warm up. There's also this new driver attention software here with this sensor. We've seen it in Lexus and Toyotas. I'm not a big fan of it, but in worst case scenario, what it'll do is it'll give you a bunch of warnings if the car thinks you're not paying attention, and then it will bring the vehicle to the side of the road, stop it, and put on the flashers. And in the future, over-the-air software will be able to call 911 for you. Yeah. Which I don't know
calling 911 would do because you're not responding.
Well, but I'm guessing if the 911 operator realizes you're not responding, they will send someone. And I mean, with an aging population, you know, I think there could be,
especially
some
in
merit
Korea.
there. Yeah. Well, everywhere, you know.
Well,
so
right,
I think that would
true.
be. I'm hoping that's a good thing. You know, hopefully it's not too annoying. We'll see today, but.
Yeah, this vehicle. Speaking of Korea, it was a joint design effort from the North American and Korean side. I think they said the exterior was largely Korea, and then the interior was largely North America,
Right.
and then they brought it together and they hit it out of the park.
Yeah.
This is a new feature I don't know if I've ever seen on a Hyundai. Matt, have you seen a digital review mirror on a Hyundai before?
I believe Palisade might offer it now, but I'm not totally sure.
Okay. And the torque, I'm going up a really steep grade right now. It doesn't always show up on camera. And I'm barely hitting the gas, and it's just, the torque on this turbo is just immense. It's not even trying, it didn't even downshift or anything. So very, very impressive torque. And you know, Hyundai, I don't know what the price difference is here between the outgoing base model and the upcoming base model, SE. But the old model had a naturally aspirated 2.5 liter, and they just got rid of that sucker. I guess they know the market pretty well. What are your thoughts on that lesser engine being gone?
I mean, it's an interesting choice because, you know, a lot of the main competitors do still have slower options like the Subaru Outback, and a lot of people buy those slower options. So it's cool of Hyundai to be offering, a bunch of power as standard, and I think that especially for people that live in higher elevations, this is going to be a really nice thing to have that turbo.
Absolutely. Well, and speaking of high elevations and turbo, the hybrid has a turbo too, and then you have the instant torque from the electric motors on there.
Yeah.
And now they're offering more power than ever before, around 230 horsepower, a little over, and 270 pound-feet of torque, which I think definitely outpaces the old model. But they replaced the 6-speed auto, dual clutch with a standard 6-speed auto, and we just found out the fuel economy. And it's 36 miles per gallon on the front wheel drive and 34 miles per gallon all wheel drive, something like that.
Yeah.
That is better than I was expecting. I was actually expecting around 30 miles per gallon. Matt, what are your thoughts on a roughly 50% increase in fuel economy versus this 2.5 turbo?
I mean, it's, you have a little bit of a downgrade in power, but I mean, it's impressive that something shaped like this, as big as this is, standard third row, all these things, and you're able to get that kind of fuel economy.
Yeah.
You kind of have your cake and eat it too there,
Right. Well, and it gives you the satisfaction of gears. And that's where something like Honda and Toyota hybrids, yes, they're reliable and proven, but when you hit the gas on them, it's just that awful drone. You're not going to have that with a 6-speed auto. It's going to be very happy, I don't know, and satisfactory from an enthusiast standpoint to go through the gears with that 6-speed auto, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping it's pretty well done, because in some of the past Hyundai products with that hybrid system, there has been a little bit of a delay sometimes with gear hunting for me.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see how they calibrate it here in the Santa Fe.
Right, but that old 6-speed dual clutch is gone.
True. So hopefully it's better now.
I'm sure it'll be better.
Yeah.
How much, right, is remained to be seen. So what a beautiful area to drive this in.
Yeah.
I'm not taking it very fast. One, I don't know the roads, and two, I'm talking, so I'm not even thinking about it, but it's very simple to drive. There's, of course, most Hyundai cars handle pretty well, like the little Elantra. I feel like it does really well keeping up with the new Civic with the handling, and this feels more sporty than I thought it was going to. The outgoing Santa Fe, like with the turbo, just as powerful as this, but felt like it was a little soggy in the turns. This thing feels much more planted, despite it being seemingly taller on the outside, and it's actually not really.
Yeah. And even compared to the competition, I mean, like, I just drove the new Passport a few weeks ago.
Oh,
I mean, the new one, but it's just a minor refresh. It's a lot sloppier. The Outback is a lot, sloppier. I mean, this feels, even just from the passenger seat, so much tighter than those kind of older models now at this point.
Yeah, it feels really, really good. It puts down the power really well with the all-wheel drive system. You can get this in front-wheel drive too and save $1,800. Which, I mean, just depending on where you live. I know you in Pittsburgh, that would not, you want to have that all-wheel drive. Me in Florida, save the money and get the extra MPGs.
And that is a key differentiator too, because the Outback doesn't give you that option.
Yep.
The Passport doesn't give you that option.
Right.
You know, stuff like Mazda is all-wheel drive only now, and
Right.
not everyone needs all-wheel drive. And so I actually really respect Hyundai for still giving people that choice and the ability to make that, you know, cost savings if they want.
Absolutely. Turn off this steering assist here. Yeah. It's a lot better than the old. I think you'll appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying it.
I think it's time. Oh, there's a Sandhill crane there.
Oh, yeah.
The time that this lane keep assist is active seems to be quite a bit less than the old system.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
see,
maybe it's because I just have straight roads in Florida, and here it's just nothing but curves.
I mean, the road painting isn't pristine either. I know there were some times where the yellow was a little off, and I mean, this is kind of a pretty faded white in some parts, so maybe it just doesn't have the confidence to know if it can't intelligently differentiate the end of the road from just the line, you know? Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is the thing that I've noticed with Hyundai systems in the past is, like, even if you have the system on and you're trying to use it, it just turns off a lot. Like, it just, and I mean, this is the HDA2 too. You only get HDA1 on everything other than calligraphy.
Yeah.
So, like, this is supposed to be the best system, and it still is, you know, to me, leaving a little bit to be desired just from capability standpoint.
So we have paddle shifters I was just playing with while Matt was throwing in his 2 cents. And the gears actually come up here on the tack.
That's cool.
Pedal down. Yeah, it goes. It's so smooth. So the vultures were having their feast there on that deer. But this 8-speed dual clutch, I didn't know what to expect. I think I've tested in other Hyundai products before, but it always feels different depending on the application it's in. It's buttery smooth. Even going through the paddle shifts here, there's no like engine braking or jerkiness going on.
Yeah, you can't even feel
it. It's fantastic. And that's what you want. Like, I don't want a super rough, and I don't want to feel the gears in a family car like this.
Right.
I want it to be smooth and seamless. And the engine is not loud in here. They did a really good job separating it. And the only time you hear the engine is full pedal down. Otherwise, it's completely silent. The only noise you're hearing is from the road as I go over this rough patch. There's a stop-start engine feature here. And Matt pointed out you can just disable it with this button. And but the one time I did notice it, I was really straining to hear it, and there was no vibrations going on. So Hyundai's doing a really good job smoothing out that start-stop engine technology, so much so that I probably wouldn't even press this button on a daily basis for my needs. It's really, really smooth, and that's saying something because I've driven Genesis vehicles that have start-stop engine technology. It's really abrupt, and it shakes the whole car. Yeah. We don't have any of that going on here. Very, very impressed with the refinement in all regards with this powertrain.
And that is also a notable thing. Like, I just had an Outback a few weeks ago, and I mean, the start-stop and that, it rocks the whole vehicle. And it's like, it almost feels like if you don't hit the brake hard enough, it's gonna like roll forward when it restarts. Yes. It's aggressive. Yes. So like that's maybe a minor detail, but like the fact that they've achieved that with such smoothness is a notable thing that I think is, you know, something everyone can do.
Right, and it's going to be even smoother in the hybrid because those hybrids are really designed for engine off, engine on. Yeah. And with it being so good on the turbo, what is it going to be on the hybrid? Is this going to be butter? Like,
yeah.
And that was with maybe 60% throttle there, and it's just really decisive and smooth. Yeah, I would say A+ with this powertrain. Are you looking for cops behind me?
No, no. I'm curious with rolling, like whenever you're doing like starting from a stop, very gradual, like behind cars, if there's any engagement feeling, because that's sometimes with dual clutches, you know, you kind of feel that a little bit.
Do you want me to try to simulate that?
I mean, if you want to just like start from a stop slowly and see if you feel any kind of engagement, that's the only thing. Yeah.
Okay. So you just want me to kind of just slowly roll off?
Yeah, just like you're going from a red light, slowly.
Just keeping up with traffic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like there's no engagement there. Yeah,
No.
Okay, so that's good. That's impressive to me.
Yeah, very impressive. Like I said, with the Kona that we both tested, like it's so sluggish off the line.
Yeah.
It feels like it weighs 1 million pounds, even though it's this tiny little car.
Yeah.
This vehicle, the little press of the throttle does exactly what you want. There's no weirdness going on.
Yeah.
I like volume knob and tuning knob. I will take that to the grave with me. And look at, they kept all these buttons. I really never use them on a Hyundai. Maybe sometimes the Seek and the Track, but when you have this tuning knob here, and they have a nice, interesting texture to them as well. So they just didn't, they even gave a little attention to detail here on the volume and tuning knob textures. So.
And it's nice that these are also separate, because like in the Kia products, there's like a button to toggle between back and forth, whether you're using climate or volume for the knob. Having 4 knobs instead of 2, I think, is superior.
Oh my gosh, no doubt, no doubt. And you can, I mean, it's easy to just change the fan speed as well. You still have the auto feature, which Hyundais do amazing because they have 3 different levels of auto.
Yeah.
Auto brake hold. I'm going to test that real quick. This is a feature that Hyundai hits out of the park because they allow it to save. So when you turn the car off, it'll keep the auto brake hold on when you restart it. So foot off. And I'm going to turn off climate control. And the engine hasn't turned off, interestingly. Typically when you take off climate control, the engine would like to turn off at a stop. But, oh, that was really seamless. Sometimes with the start-stop technologies, you feel like you're fighting against the brakes until the brakes realize you're trying to go, and then it'll release, and then you get kind of a lurch. Not here. That was really, really smooth with that start-stop. Yeah, super smooth. I didn't even realize it was the brakes were held shut there.
Yeah.
On fuel economy, well, I'm getting about 19, but I haven't been exactly gentle on the accelerator either.
And we haven't been driving too long either.
No. And I've done a 0 to 60. I've hustled it. So I'd say this is almost worst case scenario, 19 miles per gallon. I mean, I feel like we're coming to very similar conclusions as we did when we drove the Kona. What was that, last fall? Yeah. Is that it handles great. It's incredibly smooth. It's bordering into the refinement of a luxury vehicle. The interior is borderline luxury on this calligraphy, especially with the faux wood, the stitching, the soft touch materials, the technology that we have in here. The only thing I feel like is not luxury is maybe the ride quality and maybe the noise isolation from the road. But when you get a nice patch of road like this, you could blindfold me, I think I'm in a Genesis. Yeah. So Hyundai's continuing to up the game. Like I said at the beginning of this video, it feels like this Santa Fe is a generation or 2 past the old outgoing one. It's a big leap for them, and I can't wait to drive the hybrid because at up to 40% of the percentage of sales are going to be the hybrid according to Hyundai. And with the demand of hybrids right now too, they're going to have a very successful and fuel efficient family hauler. Yeah. So that being said, can't wait for one day of a plug-in hybrid. Hopefully they bring it to the market with more range and power than we've ever seen before. But in the meantime, the offerings that they have at launch is pretty impressive. Matt, what are your final thoughts of the new Santa Fe?
Yeah, I'm
as
really
a passenger,
impressed.
because you haven't driven it yet.
Yeah,
so.
But just on this passenger side here, it's really impressive. And I mean, I agree with you about the ride. You know, I think maybe going down to a lower trim to get some extra sidewall and smaller wheels, you know, could probably be the way to go. And I mean, calligraphy, again, I don't know how many people are going for this absolute loaded version. So I'm sure a lot of people might experience a smoother ride than what we have here with the 21s. But yeah, same deal. I'm hoping, you know, we see a plug-in hybrid at some point. But in the meantime, it's just great they have a hybrid because, again, something most of the competition doesn't offer. And I think that's going to really do well for them with how much everyone loves hybrids, especially right now.
Yeah. Yeah, Hyundai's nailed it. And I don't have, as of right now, I don't have anything negative to say about it. That might sound like I'm a shill or being paid off, but they've hit a home run here. And the only way I can find out things that I don't like is probably just having it for a week and buckling kids in and finding the limitations when it comes to packing things for family, keep people in the car, packing car seats. That's when I find out the limitations. But just if it's just like an individual or a couple, maybe with one kid, this thing is going to easily exceed your expectations, I think.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, signing off from the new Santa Fe here in somewhere in Kentucky. I really don't know.
Tennessee.
Tennessee. Somewhere in Tennessee. I just know we're in bourbon country.
Yeah.
So somewhere in Tennessee, outside of Nashville, outside of Franklin, Tennessee, and beautiful country, and a pretty cool vehicle. So Matt, thanks for coming along. Make sure to check out your channel, Matt Moran Motoring, over on YouTube. And anything else you want to say?
No, thanks for having me on, Kurt.
Cool.
Good to see you.
Yeah, we'll catch you in the next one. Maybe another Hyundai. This is our third one.
I know. Yeah.
Ioniq 6, Kona, Santa Fe.
Yeah.
Who knows what's next?
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.